I think I'm live. Okay. That was a lot of awkwardness, and I'm hoping nobody really sat and watched me do all that for like the last 5 minutes. I was having a lot of technical difficulties, but I think I'm live. Uh-oh. Okay. So somebody let me know if you can hear me, all that good stuff, because I didn't see the thing where I'm able to do my microphone. I was going to share my screen with you guys because I want you to be able to see the illustrations like up close. So I have my ebook ready, and I practiced, and I was going to show you the ebook on my screen while a little bubble of me was going to be over here reading it, and it was going to be all perfect. And of course I sat and couldn't figure it out. So I'm just going to read it to you like I would in a regular story time. I hope that's okay. I just don't know if anybody can hear me. So somebody let me know if just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. And at first, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about this book. Anyone? Of course, no one's. I had a feeling no one's going to watch this. Welcome to my live. Okay, I'm just going to tell you a little bit about the book while we wait and see if someone can tell me if they can hear me or not. Can you hear me now? Hold on, I'm going to comment as Kelly Gretler. Can you hear me now? Into the void. Oh, Lisa, thank you. Okay, here we go. So before I get started, in case a second person wants to join us, thank you, Lisa, for being here. Please don't leave. Maisie McGillicuddy, Sheep Got Muddy. Welcome to my story time for St. Patrick's Day. It's the perfect book for St. Patrick's Day. And it's one of my favorite days because it happens to be my birthday. So I've been obsessed with shamrocks in Ireland ever since I could talk. So how did I start with the idea for this book? I'm going to give y'all a little quick background on how I came to write this book because it's kind of fun. I went to Ireland in July of 2019. It was a bucket list trip, best trip of my life ever, obviously. And while we were on that trip, we went to this place in the northwestern part of Ireland in County Donegal called the Slieve League Cliffs. And we had the most amazing driver named Michael Gallagher. And if any of y'all are ever in Northwest Ireland, please get him to take you around because he took us to so many neat little places. But one of the places that he took us was the Slieve Leagues, and he's driving us all over the hillsides, and my window's down. I'm sticking my head out the window kind of like a dog, and I'm fascinated by random sheep just on the side of the road or walking down the middle of the road. So he was kind enough to stop and let me see the sheep. And at one point he had to get out and open a gate, and then he drove us through, and then he got out and he closed the gate, and then he got back in and he drove us up to the Slieve League Cliffs. And I was like, what's up with the gate? And he said, oh, it's to keep the sheep in. And I thought about these cliffs and the fact that this tiny little wee gate is there, and I worried about those sheep. I'm like, well, but wait, what happens if one gets out? And I thought about them some more. We went on the rest of our trip, amazing trip. And on the flight home, I came up with the outline of Maisie McGillicuddy's Sheep Got Muddy. And here's my ugly outline that I just scribbled on the flight home. Later on, I came up with this ugly scribbling. I found the most amazing illustrator along the way who works in collage art. Her name is Daria Beklamasheva, and she is in Russia. And she and I spent this entire pandemic working on this book. She was over there illustrating like crazy, and I was over here writing like crazy, and the two of us would share recipes, share our worries about what we were going through. She's a mom, I'm a mom. It was just a beautiful process and a wonderful escape. So I hope I didn't ramble too long. We're about 5 minutes in. Hopefully we have a little bit of an audience here. Sorry I couldn't figure out how to share my screen. It was going to be so nice. You guys were actually going to be able to see the illustrations like really nicely, but I just couldn't figure it out. So I'm going to hold the book up and hopefully you can see the beautiful illustration. So this is Maisie McGillicuddy's Sheep Got Muddy. Wait, where's her name? Artwork by Daria Beklamasheva. Story by me, Kelly Gretler. And this is what I came up with, the idea about those poor sheep. What if they got lost, got left out of the gate, right? So here we go. Maisie McGillicuddy's Sheep Got Muddy. Now, I dedicated this to my father, who passed away a few years ago. He spent his whole life talking about Ireland. His parents are from there. One of them, it's a little bit of a sketchy, questionable, we're not sure. We think one of his parents was from Scotland, but then moved to Ireland. One's from Ireland. They came over from Ireland, though, in like the very early 1900s, and my father was born here. But I dedicated this book to him because he loved Ireland, and it's one reason I was always obsessed with going. All right, Maisie McGillicuddy's Sheep Got Muddy. Come away, O human child, to the waters and the wild, by William Butler Yeats. And there's a ribbon flying through the air. William Butler Yeats is one of Ireland's most beloved poets and authors. Okay. In the hills of Kilcar, between the green grass and stone, stood a wee cozy cottage, a little girl's home. Oh, I wish I could hold this less awkwardly. There we go. Now this illustration actually was inspired by a picture that my husband took when we were visiting McCross Head. Young Maisie, a lass, full of spunk and of sass, with hair like a sunset and eyes of sea glass, spent her days among wildflowers and soft emerald grass, spying shapes in the clouds as they floated on past. By her side faithfully was the runt of the flock, a wee sheep with a smit mark shaped like a shamrock. He listened intently to her when she talked, and he danced to the notes that she'd play when they'd walk. Wait, so there's Maisie and Shamrock. Now, you'll see spray paint on sheep over in Ireland and probably in the UK and other places. That's what they do to differentiate their flocks. And in this case, they're called smit marks. And in this case, Shamrock's is shaped like a shamrock. That's right. 'Twas early one morn, through a gate left unlocked, the sheep wandered alone and he slipped on a rock. He stumbled, then tumbled, then came to a stop at the foot of a hill in some mud with a plop. See, the ribbon is stuck on the gate, guys. And look, there's some Highland cows down there. Oh, is that a border collie? They're key to the story. As he lay on his back in the mud upside down, Shamrock saw that his snowy white fleece had turned brown. Then he tossed and he kicked and he let out a bleat when a black and white dog came and nipped at his feet. Shamrock scurried and hid between two fluffy cows. With eyes wide, the sheep wondered just where was his house. The dog herded and snapped and he ran left and right, round the cows and poor Shamrock till they huddled up tight. With the sound of their hooves on a cold steel floor, Shamrock heard a man's voice, then the slam of a door. Afraid and confused and impossibly stuck, he was now heading south on the back of a truck. So this is kind of in the Sligo area, which is just a little bit south. When she couldn't find Shamrock on his usual patch of bright yellow buttercups and green meadow grass, Maisie went to the gate with her heart beating fast where she found the sheep's blue silky scarf on the latch. She called out his name, knowing something was wrong, as she wondered just where in the world had he gone. She knew that he hadn't been gone for too long, so she pulled out her flute and she played him a song. As she's standing, this is McCross Head. I had Daria draw that. We went there. Thank you, Michael, for bringing us there. Beautiful. So there's Maisie. Shamrock watched emerald hillsides that were dotted with sheep and saw miles upon miles of stone walls. It was when the truck stopped, so the driver could sleep, that the icy cold raindrops would fall. He gazed at the shoreline from between the brown cows, and had never before felt so small. Then he lay his head down with a sad little frown, drifting off to the gulls' echoed calls. It rained off and on for most of that night, perplexing the man and the cows at first light. So they're in Galway. That's Galway, and there's the gulls. 'Twas truly a startling and curious sight when they saw that poor Shamrock's brown fur had turned white. The cows caused a ruckus with this newfound surprise, which distracted the man who was trying to drive. The truck stopped on a curve near some wee, vibrant homes, where the man pulled the sheep from the back all alone. With the slam of a door and the turn of a key, the brown cows and the man disappeared down the street. I know, if any of you guys have been to Ireland, you know where that is, right? That is Doolin. Doolin. It's kind of right on the way to the Cliffs of Moher, and if you blink, you'll miss it. And it's the cutest little town. Meanwhile, back up north, Maisie started her quest to search high and search low and search east and search west. She went to the place where the cliffs and sea crest would quadruple the odds of him hearing her best. Surrounded by stone and by sky and by sea, she climbed to the peak of the massive Slieve Leagues. She prayed that the wind gusts would carry her songs, and she stayed on the edge of that cliff all day long. Now guys, the Slieve League cliffs, they are like being in heaven, and they are actually bigger and taller than the Cliffs of Moher. And they are very rugged, and it's not touristy. You just go hiking around. I recommend it big time. You get Michael Gallagher to take you there. With no sign of Shamrock, Maisie wandered and roamed, heading further and further away from her home. She found a brief refuge neath the beacon of light, cutting through the bright stars and dark sky. It was when she decided to stop for the night that young Maisie then started to cry. Her worries consumed her and robbed her of sleep. Just where in the world was her lost little sheep? So it's nighttime. She's in Fanad. That's Fanad Lighthouse. Gorgeous. Doria is incredible. There's poor Maisie crying. Look, she's got Shamrock's ribbon in her hair now. Meandering up a steep slope of a climb, feeling grateful because he was free, Shamrock stopped for a much-needed break for some time in the wildflowers overlooking the sea. He napped and he grazed and he sat and he pondered, not quite knowing just what to do next. And he thought about home and that morning he'd wandered and the way it had led to this mess. Then a small herd of black and white cows came along, gathering round this poor lost little sheep. They listened as Shamrock explained what was wrong in a prattle of rambling bleats. They gave him the courage to keep moving on across fields and bridges and streets, and he thought about Maisie, her flute and her songs, and the day that they'd once again meet. So he walked up to the Cliffs of Moher. And fun fact, there's really cows up there. We saw them, but yeah, that's the Cliffs of Moher. I know you guys recognize that beautiful place. Oh, I wish we were there. Maisie's journey continued to a place by the sea full of columns and structures and stones. She longed for some buttered brown bread with some tea and the simple, sweet comforts of home. With his blue satin ribbon tied up in her hair and knowing poor Shamrock could be anywhere, she played songs into sea spray and the wind and the air next to 3 playful puffins who were nesting near there. I know y'all maybe recognize this, the Giant's Causeway and puffins. I was so impressed with the little boys at a story time last week. They couldn't have been more than 5 and they knew all about puffins. I didn't know about puffins until I went to Ireland. Where's Shamrock now? Subservient sheep shuffling down by a dock unwittingly merged Shamrock in with their flock. The flustered sheep clusters were easy to muster onto boats using cans of cracked corn. Left slightly uneasy and terribly queasy, they climbed out at the sound of a horn. Wobbly, uncertain, and clumsy first steps soon turned to a steady and sure-footed trek up a winding stone pathway, a stronghold that led to a place for the sheep who had smit marks of red. So look, Shamrock is merged in with this flock of sheep, and this place is called Dunquin Harbor. I'm not positive I'm pronouncing that right. I don't know if y'all can see Shamrock. He's merged in. That same day up north, Maisie searched far and wide, pressing onward, suspended between the vast sea and sky, steadfast and determined, using faith as her guide, seeking only to gain her wee sheep by her side. So Maisie is up still in the northern part of Ireland in Carrick Reed Rope Bridge. Beautiful. Beautiful, Daria. Oh, this is one of my favorite pages. Look, it's so pretty. Shamrock trudged and he traipsed and he steadily marched across green pastures that went on for miles. Filthy, disheveled, incredibly parched, he decided to rest for a while. With instinct and luck, with instinct and luck and good timing, he found himself walking across some grand castle grounds, where in front of a marvelous manor there stood an old donkey hitched up to a cart made of wood. In a sequence of bleats, the tuckered-out sheep asked the donkey just what did he think if he promised to be careful and safe and discreet. Could he sneak just one wee little drink? As a proper all-clear, donkey tipped his long ears and gave Shamrock a clandestine wink. The sheep lapped the warm liquid, which was dark ruby red, going down nice and easy and straight to his head, and he thanked the kind donkey and went promptly to bed. So that donkey is pulling a cart, and look at what he is pulling. Guinness. Guinness. So Maisie, she's still way up north. Donkey's at the bottom of Ireland now. And there is a fun map in the back of this book that I'll show you at the end where they went. Okay. Sorry, guys. With an ominous weave, the gnarled branches and trees seemed to take hold of Maisie and surround her and squeeze, so she steadied her shoulders and remembered to breathe as she quietly whispered the words, "Just believe." She is in the dark hedges. Y'all heard of the dark hedges, right? It's beautiful. 'Twas late the next day when, to Shamrock's dismay, the man driving the cart shouted out, "Stow away!" The sheep scrambled and scurried from the spot where he lay, falling onto the street as the cart drove away. Feeling cornered and stuck and quite down on his luck, he stayed in that spot till the sky turned to dusk. With no sense of direction, unsure where to go, Shamrock followed the cobblestone path, which led to a lane, then a street, then a bridge, and then to some railway tracks. Under moonlight and stars, the sheep wandered quite far till he spotted the door of a boxcar ajar. So he is in Kilkenny, and that is a little awesome place called the Butterslip. So cute, like a little alley just made of cobblestones and lanterns and old castle parts. Right? Ooh, the tides are turning, you guys. Overnight, the train traveled to a bustling town square. When it stopped, the sheep woke with a start. Shamrock knew right away he was meant to be there, feeling gladness and peace in his heart. He took in the sights and the smiles and the sounds, and the change in the air felt immensely profound as he cheerfully strolled and meandered around this new lively and vibrant, incredible town. So that's Grafton Street. He is in Dublin, y'all. Dublin. Awesome Dublin. Now Maisie, on her way that same day with the sun on her face, walking through where the apple trees bloomed, persisting ahead with unwavering faith, she believed that she'd find her sheep soon. Feeling hope in her heart and covered in grace, Maisie took a deep breath and she picked up the pace. So she is in Armagh. That's where there's apple orchards. She's just north of Dublin now. Dublin is over on the East Coast. Kind of, if you're looking at a map of America, kind of around where Virginia is, maybe a little lower than that. Yeah, they're walking all around that beautiful countryside. And the changes in the air, you guys. So pretty. It was just before dark when she came to a park, a kaleidoscope of rich shades of green. Maisie played a sweet song that came straight from her heart. It was tranquil and soft and serene. The notes floated on air, reaching all who were there, from the squirrels to the swans to the kids, to the mums and the dads and the green lily pads, to the trees and an old stony bridge. So this is in Dublin. This is St. Stephen's Green Park. It's kind of like the equivalent to Central Park in New York, but this is St. Stephen's. There's so much, just hundreds and hundreds of years of history in this park. So she played that song when she got there. Shamrock entered the park through a massive stone arch near a wee little house on the path. He could hear the sweet song from a shy meadowlark in the air as he made his way past. It was somewhere between all the rich shades of green, from the shrubs to the trees to the grass, that he'd cross a small bridge where his one single wish would come true, causing Shamrock to gasp. The sheep leapt and he splashed and he frantically dashed. He had never before in his life moved so fast. That music, that hair, she was right over there. The moment he dreamt of had happened at last. So wait, first, there he is up on the bridge. That's at St. Stephen's Green. We walked on that bridge. And then here he is diving in. And look, his smit mark is covered. Uh-oh. Hopefully she'll be able to identify him. In a swirl of commotion neath the treetops and sky, Maisie stood by the water in shock. Overcome with emotion as she looked with wide eyes, was this sheep in the lake her Shamrock? Amidst the soft sounds of two long-tailed magpies, exuberant laughs soon replaced her stunned cries as they hugged and they danced to this wondrous surprise. That's that awesome, just awesome picture. They made their way back across the green emerald aisle with twinkling eyes and ear-to-ear smiles, enjoying each step of the road all the while. Home sweet home in Kilcar with the rest of their flock, Maisie celebrated and rejoiced alongside her Shamrock. The two danced and they talked and they went for long walks to the edge of their land by the wall made of rocks and the newly built wrought iron gate, which was locked. So they're back home. Look, Shamrock has his ribbon on. And there's the stony wall and there's the gate that's locked. The end. The end, guys. And look. Here is a map of all the places that they went. And here's like the key. I really was hoping I'd be able to share this screen. So let me see. So this is where they started out in Donegal at home. And then Shamrock started to, I'm like a weatherman right now, started to come south, like there's Galway and Doolin, and yeah, it's hard for me to show you guys, but yeah, and then Maisie came up and around this way to the lighthouse, to Giant's Causeway, and then the two of them met over here at St. Stephen's. So that is a map of Ireland that'll show you where everything is. So that map was very hard for me and Daria to coordinate because we were like 15 banana breads in at that point. And we were like confused, but somehow she's amazing. She did it. And speaking of Daria, this is my illustrator, my wonderful illustrator, Daria Beklamasheva. She is in Russia, and I'm just so excited that I got to work with her. And then here's a little picture of little old me in Cibolo. And that's it, guys. The end. The end. There's the back of the book. I hope you guys enjoyed it and stuck with me and could hear me. I'm so sorry that I was awkward without being able to do a screen share. So anyway, I think that's it. Send me a Facebook message or something if you have any questions. Thanks for listening and have a wonderful St. Patrick's Day, guys. Hope you're wearing something green. Bye. All right, now how do I turn it off? How do I turn it off, you guys? Oh, okay. Somebody tell me how to turn this thing off. LOL. Oh, and live video. Okay, bye, guys.